Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to Tekpon. Today our guest is Sara, the founder at Break the Box. Hello.
Hi.
Hi Sara, nice to have you on the podcast after meeting in person at SaaS Talk.
It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, at first, please tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So you already told about me being the founder of Break the Box, and we can get into that later. But basically, my background is 22 years in the revenue game. I have been all roles within revenue, so everything from selling to people on the street to doing SDR work to doing AE work, senior AE work, VP roles, CRO roles, and now founder of a new company. I have been part of several startup to scale up journeys in the software industry the last 12, 13 years. And I have a pretty broad profile. I have interests that are sort of broad within the space of marketing and sales, which is revenue. For me, that's an entirety of the thing.
Okay.
But I love this. I love revenue. I think this is the most exciting profession you can be in. So I'm excited to deep dive into that today.
Thank you so much for joining us. Please tell us what is Break the Box to start with the present, and then we can continue with the past.
Yes, of course. And I'm not going to plug too much, but we actually have a LinkedIn Live where we every other week talk about all the failures we do as we start this new venture together, me and my co-partner and also husband. We've both been in the game for a very long time. And Break the Box is a consultancy house. Under Break the Box, we have an application for revenue training, which is called Skills at the moment. So we're sort of building these out as two different entities. But Break the Box is basically advisory. We have revenue training. We have revenue consultancy. So we go into an organization within the SaaS space that are either startup or scale up, and we fix revenue issues as consultants. So that's basically Break the Box, the advisory and consultancy house. And then beneath that, we have a side project that we're pouring a lot of hours into now, which is a skill application for revenue people to start, where we will be able to deliver micro-learning sessions within revenue to upskill and reskill and to sort of accelerate your career within revenue. We are focusing on individual contributors, and we also have gamification and community within the platform to actually help people learn the way our brains want to learn. I don't know if you, Christian, use TikTok a lot, but I do. And this is a format that really works well for most people's brains, which is how we're building the app today. So that's going to be launched in Q1, and Break the Box will continue doing the consultancy and advisory. So we have an AI company we're advising on right now within the revenue space that is looking to live coach salespeople. We have another initiative that we're on now as well that is basically removing the SDR role and replacing it with an AI SDR that will do the calling for you. So there's a lot of movement happening in the revenue space right now, and we're sort of engaging in all of it and being advisors for companies to scale.
Right. And usually what's the size of a SaaS company that you're helping?
Well, we can't do too small because money. So obviously there is a limit when it comes to but the people is one thing. If you want to work with revenue teams, there has to be a team in place.
Yes.
So we're looking at most of the companies we're working with now have about 18 or 15 EFTs within the revenue team. So there is a team, right? And once you start growing that, the pains of scaling starts happening. And that's where we're really strong, because me and my partner have both been part of doing that journey, going from 7-8 people up to like 45. And that journey in revenue is really, really, it's hard. There's a lot of things that we do over and over again that isn't working well. And if you ask any buyer today within software, they will tell you that sales reps and SDRs are not doing a great job right now because they are spamming people to the left and right. And at the same time, we have VPs and CROs getting fired to the left and right because money isn't available the way it was a couple of years ago. So to be able to drive efficient revenue, you need to scale down your team members and you need to scale up what they know and how they do their work. And this is part of the process of sort of meeting the new situation with AI, doing a lot of the tasks that we think are boring as people, but sort of fucking the tasks up at a high rate. So this is it's a challenging time for revenue people overall.
Thank you for sharing. And let's start from the scratch. How do you build that revenue team? So let's say, let's take an example. They have, let's say, 50 employees and they're looking for their first, or usually how do things go?
Yes. So basically what happens is that you won't have 50 people before you get your first revenue people in. You will have maybe 10, 12 people. You will have a platform. So let's say within SaaS, you will have a platform. You have 10 to 12 people. You have one founder, one of the founders. If there are two, there's one technical one and there's one that is more marketing driven, right?
Yeah.
And that founder has been carrying the sales since start. So that person has been out talking to people, very unstructured, very often. But as soon as you put that person in the meeting, they will just get the customer to get engaged because they know the market, they know the challenges, they know what the customer is struggling with, they know how to fix it, because that was the entire point of building the business, right?
Yes.
So then one of the challenges that we can see is that founder, what they have in their heads is something we would like to put into a sales playbook, but we don't, because we believe that there is no way we can scale Anders or Kalle or whatever the name of the founder is, because it's all in his mind and it's sort of a black box of magic that we don't want to touch it. So normally that company would go out and look for a senior sales leader who has done this before, right? Yes. Who comes in with medic and other strategies and methodologies in sales, who are supposed to build a sales team, right? So you give this person a computer, you tell him the problem, and then you say, here's your territory, here's your quota, good luck. Yes. And then you sort of leave him to do his thing because he's done it before, right? No, but there's multiple challenges with this, because that sets that person up to fail, which is why if you look at most SaaS businesses, the first 2 hires in management for revenue that they do, they don't last more than 6 months. Because there's no way that person will survive and accelerate what the company is trying to do and scale it, because they don't have the prerequisite. And so what we see then is that person will bring in a few revenue salespeople from their previous network, and then they will start training them. And some way along the lines, even if that small team succeeds, somewhere along the lines, the message that the founders have that started the business and had the reason why the business exists in mind gets lost in translation. So suddenly we have 10 salespeople now, and only 2%, 2 of 10 take their quota monthly, quarterly, every quarter, right? The rest are doing 60% and struggling all the time. And the person who is in charge of the team doesn't know how to fix this. And there is a challenge with this, because you will start feeling the pain of having salaries going out for people, having people not delivering and feeling like shit, because they do. There is no salesperson I have ever met in my career, and I've met many of them. I have trained so many of them, that ever feels like, I'm okay with missing budget. Like, you don't feel like that in sales. You feel horrible as a person. Like you take it very personally. I am a failure. I am a failure. I am a failure. And that creates a culture in that team that makes it hard. And if you don't manage to succeed with every single recruitment, you are screwed at this point. And you won't succeed with every recruitment because you don't know how to recruit well, because that's another challenge. We're looking for salespeople to be hungry, right? That's a typical thing that I can hear. It's like, hungry for what? Hungry for my own money. Hungry for achieving my career goals. Hungry for what? Hungry for helping customers. Very rarely that's the hunger. Very rarely.
Yeah, you're
when
right.
you find these people, hire them. When they're hungry for customer success, hire them, because they will be long-term good for your business. But anyway, so you sit here, you have your 10 people, and maybe you take in an investment. And then the new investment means that you will have people on the board telling you, so hire people. This happened a couple of years ago in SaaS a lot. So hire. So then you take a model that doesn't scale as it is for 10 people, and then you try to hire 20 people more. And then suddenly we're back to the situation where very few manage to meet their quota. And this is not a good situation. So scaling a revenue team, when you start doing it, very much comes down to the first 5 people you hire. Okay. And these hires should be very scarce. You should be very, very particular about who you're hiring. And this also goes back to, obviously, your culture and your value point that you have as a business. For me personally, long-term success with customers is one of my priorities. For most salespeople who come in junior, they don't even have a conversation with their revenue manager about what their priorities for their career should be. The only priority they get is more money on the table now.
Yes.
And this is sort of screwing the salespeople over, unfortunately, because for them, building a portfolio over 3-4 jobs that they can keep coming back to the same customers because the customers trust them and they didn't churn and they got good stuff. These are things we rarely talk to our revenue team members about. We only talk about this month's quota. And it's a short-term capitalistic way of viewing it. And the entire world is sort of moving in that direction strongly, more and more strongly now. Because we're stressed the fuck out because money is scarce again. It wasn't a few years ago.
Exactly.
So one of the tips I would recommend is looking at how to build a very, very good starting team. So the first 5 people you hire is going to make or break your revenue scalability. So those first 5 people need to be different people. We can't hire 5 of the same profile. We need to have 5 different profiles in place. We need to have at least one person who thinks difference experience and difference of mindset. So we need to have at least one person who's all about the numbers. We need to have one person who really understands customer need and wants to learn everything there is to learn about customer need. We need a third person who really wants and really needs to be in a position where they can for sure tell a customer that if we recommend you to buy this, we know you won't churn. Who cares about churn numbers?
Yeah, okay.
We need one person who's super, super hungry to drive new revenue, which means that they're very good at booking meetings. They're very good at getting the meetings in with the right people. And then we need one person of the team who is focused on marketing communication. Because one of the challenges that we can see in sales teams now is that we have the silos of marketing and sales very clearly in front of us. One of the challenges is that most salespeople who are junior, they don't understand how to use marketing messaging. They don't even know what an ICP is. Do you know what an ICP is, Dina, Christian?
Yes,
you do. Do you know what we did when we went to?
Knows.
Yeah, most people have no idea.
Okay.
And I would say we did a test actually. I think this is super interesting. We did a test when we went to Sunstock where we met the first time. And we walked around to all the booths, all the exhibitioners, right? And we found the most senior person in all the booths and we asked, so what is your ICP? What do you think they responded? What do you think was the most common response?
We're still searching for the ideal.
No, basically what they said was, all companies over 10,000 employees, all companies over 2,000 employees, like very, very basic demographic data that does not an ICP make. Like it does not. So selling to everyone everywhere is not an ICP, and it makes it very hard for a revenue team to be really good when they interact with customers. So if you don't have a clear viewpoint of ICP within the sales teams, not in the marketing team, inside the sales team, what are our good ICPs? What does that mean? What needs do these customers have? What cases do we have that addresses this specific need? How do we know the industry of these ICPs? How do we understand how they work internally? How is decisions being made within the ICP? All of these things are ICP-specific information points that you in a revenue role need to have. And most companies don't have a clear view of this. Not even high-level, C-level people. They don't really know. They have this idea of, I think most companies with this setup would work. And then they would add, but we can sell to anyone. So just go out and sell to anyone. And this is a clear typical mistake when you're starting a business, because if you don't know clearly what your ICP is, you will have it harder to scale and skill salespeople to actually be good on their ICP. And the interesting thing that I was talking about before, the founder, that person knows one ICP and they're super good at that ICP. Because they found a problem. Often it's because they were in a role where they were exposed to the problem within the ICP. They found a problem, and if you ask them, so what do you talk about in meetings? Most founders will respond, I don't know, I just talk to people. And they're still creating magic engagement because they know the thing that they know it so well. So then the next question comes into how to scale a sales team. ICPs is important. The founder's methodology of how to sell is something we do. We can scale that. We have a setup where we do putting the founder's methodology into a sales playbook. Okay. Because extracting this from the founder to put it into a sales playbook so that anyone can sell like the founder does is a very, very efficient way of getting customer engagement when you talk to prospects. So try to figure out how to extract whatever is in the one person who knows this the best, whatever goes into his meetings. So what I always do when I go into new businesses, when I was an individual contributor, whatever size the business was, I went to our founder or the person who was in charge, head up, who was the best person to talk to when it came to understanding customer need. And I went with them on 10 meetings. So that's always how I started my IC journey. So I got an account executive role. I went to the founder. I said, look, whoever it was, look, I need to come with you to 10 meetings with customers. And this only happens when the company is small enough for the founder to still go on meetings. And I normally came in when the company was like, I don't know, 7 people, 12 people, 15 people in the start. And I was often the first revenue person, right?
Nice.
So it was my job to fully understand this, to get it out of that person's head and then be able to scale it out to the business. So we could hire salespeople and onboard them and scale them up fast, right? So I went on 10 meetings. I wrote down everything I found in each of the meetings that were things that this person communicated and how the customer reacted. And then I built a playbook for me. That playbook was then distributed to the new people coming in. But for me, this was my way of making sure that I can do this messaging the way that the founder does, because it's super, super efficient. So most companies who have a tech founder and a commercial founder, it's often 2 people, take the commercial founder and understand what the hell is going on in the black box, put it into documentation and put it out to your sales team. Because this will make a big difference. Because Medic and BANT and all the other methodologies in all its glory, first of all, it's 80s, 90s type of process. I don't even know why we're still looking at Medic, honestly.
Right.
No, but I don't understand it, because I look at these, because I teach at the Stockholm School of Business here in Stockholm. I teach a class on this, and we went through all the methodologies, and they were all like, but this is selling to people who lived in the 80s. Like, this is how you sell to people in the 80s. And I was like, I know. It's but not good. No, but I had to go through them because they wanted me to teach them on the background of sales methodology, right? So I had to go through them. And then we had an exercise where we built an entire new framework for a sales playbook that works today, right?
Nice.
So this is an entirety of understanding that whatever, because we're looking at Tony Robbins and these people we're still looking at them as some sort of magic maker. But they haven't sold anything with their methodology for like 30 years. Like, the world has changed, and where are everyone? We can't get stuck in the past now. So getting the founders' sales to scale is a big input source to succeeding. And the second part is the team members. You need to have a variety of people. You need to have a mix between male and female. You need to have a mix between people coming from, I don't know, the white dudes club is over. Like, we need to stop looking at hiring people who are this, I don't know, this caricature of a salesperson. Like, they don't work very well.
Yes.
They don't. So how can we diversify our sales team, the first 5 people coming in? And how can we challenge our own belief systems? Because we all have prejudice, all of us. No matter how woke we are, we will all have prejudice against people and individuals and their ability to do things. But 100%. I can tell you that the best sales reps that I have worked with as a team member or as a manager, they have been introverted blue people. They listen for 2 hours to a customer without actually talking a lot at all. And then they come back with the perfect fit. They don't need to run the show or own the room or whatever the fuck we're talking about when it comes to revenue. They need to care about what's happening for the person sitting in front of them.
Yes.
Actually care. And for me, when I started doing sales on a business to business side, and this is, 15, 16 years ago when I went into business to business, my first manager, and this is an interesting story because my first manager told me, so Sarah, who do you want to be? Like, in your career, who do you want to look in the mirror and see staring back at you? Do you want to be the person who doesn't care if you impact people negatively because you did your quota? Or do you want to be a person who actually helps people achieving their career goals while you achieve yours? And he told me a story, and I was super depressive, but I will tell it anyway because I love it so much. It's still in my head after such a long time.
Wow.
And it was like, so imagine that you sell an ERP, because I was selling ERP for software to huge corporations. He was like, imagine you're sitting in a dialogue with a customer. They want to buy, but you know that the ERP system that this CFO wants to buy from you, your solution is not the best on the market for their specific vertical. There is another solution. You even know the solution's name. You know what company they should go to get the best fit for his career and his company. But he wants to buy from you. So let's say that you're in a crossroad, right? Either you sell and you close that deal and you get a fat commission check. And then in a year, when this project has failed miserably for the CFO, he gets fired because he lost all trust with the board and the management team because he took in a product that was super expensive and that didn't pan out to do any value for the business. So he lost his confidence and then he lost his trust. They lost the trust in him and then he was fired. And I was like, okay, but that can happen and people are still adults. They need to be responsible for their own decisions, right? And I was like, yes. And we can see it that way. Or we can look at it and see what happens to him from now on. So he gets fired. So he's out of a job. He has a low confidence because he's made this mistake. So he's been tearing himself a new one since that started happening. So he's low in confidence. And 6 months after he gets fired, his wife leaves him because she's tired of hearing him complain about how he got fucked over this deal, right? And how it's so poor me, right? So she leaves him. And now he's alone with his cat. Or whatever the fuck, right?
Yeah, I never.
Do you still feel Do you still feel that that's okay? Is that okay that you will impact and gear life that way?
Yeah,
right. And I was like, no, that doesn't feel good at all. And then he just continued. He was like, and then his parents died. Like, oh my god! It was like, and none of these things are things you're actually responsible for. But if you think about what his life would have been if you pointed him in the right direction. Is it really worth the fat commission check? Is it really worth it? And I was like, no, it's not. Which is when I started building a portfolio of customers that I didn't sell unless we were the best fit. And if we weren't the best fit, I would point them on. I learned very early that I needed to have a big funnel of customers so that I could say no to business and still do my quarterly budget, because that was not really the problem. I just needed a few more first meetings to be able to make sure that if I say no, I have 2 more that will come in. Yes. But for me, this was very shaping for me as a person. I don't believe that we should sell ourselves for a career or a job or a commission check. I don't believe that mentality. And that mentality is very vivid and alive in the sales community today. And I think it's kind of...
Don't you think it's lower popularity right now?
I don't think that it's lower popularity within the teams. I think that outside of the teams, when we're all going to be politically correct, yes, like it's very low, but we're long-term in the public end. But I think internally in sales teams today, it's still all that you contribute is your numbers. And if you don't do your numbers, you're not worth anything. And I think it's a very unhealthy way of driving a team, because as a leader, the leader roles that I've had, I see myself as a parent. And I have 2 daughters. I have a 9-year-old and 16-year-old. I see myself as a parent to my team. So what is my job as a parent? My job as a parent is not to have them have a good year. My job as a parent is to make them equipped to continue their career as adults, fully functioning and skilled more than they were when they came into my care. That's my job. So my job is to accelerate their career. It's not to do my budget. These things very much coexist. They work together very well. But the point is to actually provide for young people coming into their first or second sales job to understand how to drive their career and to accelerate it in a way where they can get agency over their own lives, to drive it from a perspective of who do I want to be in 10 years? Not what role do I want to have? What paycheck do I want to have? That can be part of it too. But who do I want to be? Do I want to have customers when I pass them on the streets? They're like, hi, Sarah, I'm so happy to see you. It's been a while. Or do I want to have customers who ignores me and walks past me because they're like, you fucked me? Like, these things are important to me. And I think we're not talking to revenue team members enough about it. And when you build culture in a sales team that is based on this, instead of the short-term capitalist, you are only your number, you also attract a more diverse crowd of people who would want to join your company. And looking at diversity in itself, all companies that have a 50-50 split on gender, results-wise, money-wise, bottom line money, they earn more. Sales teams leaders who have a female sales lead earn money more than a sales team that is led by a male, because they have a tendency of copy-pasting their own persons. I will now hire 5 people who are like me. And diversity is out the window. While women hire for mental attitude at a much higher extent, and they also hire because they want different perspectives. And it's often the same looking at people who are working in a specific environment where they are the odd one out in any way. They're looking to collect people that makes the odd one out be a universe of skills and perspectives rather than just a copy paste of themselves. So diversity is super important to impact revenue. And I think lots of founders haven't understood this yet. There's lots of studies on this, by the way, where you can find data supporting what I'm claiming now. And I can either you DM me on LinkedIn and I can send it over to you to research, or you can just, I don't know, call me and ask me and I will give you sources. But the point is still that we need to diversify early, because once you have the white dudes club established with your 5 first people, that just continues trickling down into your organization. It won't stop. So then you need to redo, and that costs a lot of money. You need to start with this. Yes, very much.
Yeah, I really appreciate your mentality. I cannot express my gratitude, and I really like it, and I'm super impressed. And I think more people need to hear this. And you already shared a lot of value. So if people want to contact you, I'm sure you'll be happy to have them for free.
Feel free.
Do you have one last piece of advice for people that are in sales right now for 2024?
Yes, I have several. So first of all, get a mentor, someone outside of your company. Most salespeople, especially the junior ones, don't have this. Get a mentor who is a person that seems to be a person you admire, not a role, person you admire. Get a mentor. That's the first thing. And you can do this through LinkedIn. I got my first mentor. I've had mentors for all my years. I got my first 2 mentors by just going to LinkedIn, finding the most impressive person I can find online and asking. They all said yes. You just have to ask.
Exactly.
Ask. So get a mentor. Number 2, start understanding that what you're doing today will change massively the coming 2 years, especially if you are junior and you're working SDR or AE, SMB, because that role will need to change a lot, because I'm sorry to tell you, but the idea that AI will take your jobs, yes, AI will take most parts of your jobs. So you need to start upskilling already now to move to a place where you can deliver value as a senior AI, where you can actually be really skilled in understanding your prospect if you want to stay in the sales game. And I would recommend you do, because it's going to be a very exciting few years coming, the coming years. So start understanding and reading about what will impact your role, and start getting to a point where you start executing on, I need to change my knowledge and my skill sets, right? Because you will need it. Third of all, start training a lot more than you do. And this is something that managers who have, especially when you founded the company, you're starting the sales revenue team, give them an hour every week to just read or consume sales content so that they start educating themselves. Stop buying training courses just to check off a box. They need to actually learn these things. So start valuing training a lot more than you do today. Training and outcome is important. And 4th, follow me on LinkedIn and you will get access to a lot of things that relates to navigating and accelerating your career in sales. Because I share about this, 2 times a day, ongoingly. So just hook up with me and I will get you sorted with other people to follow and advice when it comes to how to move. Because their sales profession needs to move. And if you're running a team and you don't know what to do, I understand you. I'm with you. I feel you. Most people don't get a lot of help when they start in a managerial role in sales. Again, I have a network of people who can help you out with mentorship. Just give me a holler. I'm happy.
Thank you so much for this. I'm amazed by how many things I agree with you, and I really appreciate it that are not said that often, but is the right mentality. And I'm also amazed that it's been 30 minutes and it felt like 3 minutes, right?
Right.
You're really passionate about what you do, and I love the enthusiasm. So thank you so much for joining.
Of course. Thank you.